Don't know why I'm having such a hard time doing this video. It should be easy. I guess it's because I'm pretty tired. This is my fifth take. Alright, bear with me, folks. God knows that's about the 100th time I've said that over the course of the last, I don't know, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 years since I've been cutting these videos. Well, let's go to song number 10 on my fantasy playlist. October 1st, 1995. Amitri, Roll to Me. Amitri, sort of an alternative band with commercial leanings. Roll to Me was their biggest American hit. And they're best known here in the States for that song. Although I don't consider this one their best record. As a matter of fact, the group doesn't think it was their best record either. But I'll get into all that in just a minute. They formed from another band. They're from Glasgow, Scotland. Formed from a band called Justin Curry's Jordan Hall College School. Justin Curry, who became leader of Amitri, Jordan Hall College School. This is interesting. Did just a tad of research on this school in Scotland, funded by the government, not by the local municipality, but by the government itself, and educating children and young adults between 4 to 19. So imagine going to school. You first start going to school when you're 4 years old, and you graduate from the same school when you're 18 or 19 years old. Fancy that. That is something else. John Curry, he put up an advertisement, a notice on a window of a local music store. It said something like, "If you know how to play, please call me." And the original members of Amitri formed. Now, Amitri, they underwent a lot of personnel changes over the years. Don't want to get into all the details of that, partly because I'm too lazy to do it right now, but it'll make for a much longer video. They got popular in Glasgow. They played the local scene in Glasgow, the pubs, the clubs. They created a buzz. The buzz was heard by legendary British DJ John Peel, who I believe passed away not too long ago. John Peel of BBC Radio 1. An innovative DJ from what I've heard, willing to play new groups, new songs that do not make it into the mainstream. He played a couple of demos, got a hold of a couple of demos, maybe several demos by Amitri. He played it on his show, got him more traction in the UK, signed a deal with Chrysalis Records, and they released an album in 1985. A debut album in 1985. They toured with the Smiths, and the album bombed. Chrysalis dropped Amitri, but they didn't give up. They toured America, and they stayed together. They signed with A&M Records, and they released an album called Waking Hours. That was the album that broke them into the British charts big time. It went to number 6 on the UK charts, their debut album. And yes, and yes. Talking about an obscure record here in the States. I remember it so vividly. Off of that album. Kiss This Thing Goodbye. Those hot early summer days of 1990. Late spring, early summer 1990. Headline was all over this record. They played that. I thought that was one of their best records, but it was not a hit here in the States. Might have done better in England. And in 1992 rather, they released another album called Change Everything. And another scintillating single came off that album, Always the Last to Know. I believe that's the name of, I'm looking at my chicken scratch. I believe Always the Last to Know, I believe was the name of the record. But anyway, Hitline was all over that too. Music's top 40 outlet. And the album Change Everything went to number 2 in the UK. Did very well in the UK. It was held out the number 1 spot in the UK by Lionel Richie's Greatest Hits album, The Best of Lionel Richie, in England. But number 2 is not shabby at all. Always the Last to Know. Another one of their great singles. And then they came out with Twisted in 1995. That album went to number 3, I believe, if I read my chicken scratch correctly, in the UK. And this record, though, Roll to Me, came off this album. Didn't do as well in England. Went to number 22 in England. Went to number 10 here in the States, though. Amitri making up for lost time here in the States, going to number 10 with Roll to Me, their biggest hit, but they did not consider it their best single. As a matter of fact, they're like, this is a throwaway pop record. It's almost like filler. And we're best known for this record. And I tell you what, I feel the frustration because Kiss This Thing Goodbye was killer, and so was Always the Last to Know. But here we are, Roll to Me at number 10 on my fancy playlist, October 1st, 1995.